What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. It's time for our Cincinnati schedule preview and projected record video. It's going to be a year of change for Cincinnati in 2023. New head coach Scott Satterfield, new conference, the Big 12, a lot of roster turnover, a lot of transfers in and out. It's just going to be a big-time transition year for Cincinnati. So what kind of season will they have? Well, of course, the schedule is going to have a big part in determining that. So let's take a look at that schedule for 2023. Again, this is a team that went 9-4 last season. Had a decent year. You know, it wasn't college football playoff good, but still a solid year for them. They were 9-3 in the regular season, lost in their bowl game. But they open up with Eastern Kentucky there on September the 2nd. Then it's a road game at Pitt on the 9th, Miami of Ohio on the 16th. Then they'll play Oklahoma at home on the 23rd. After that, it's on the road at BYU, and that is actually a Friday night game. So that's, I think, their only weeknight game is on the road at BYU on September 29th. They get a bye week after that one, which is interesting. Usually you like to get a bye week before the weeknight game, not after. So there'll be a pretty good break there between BYU and Iowa State. It's like having a bye week plus one extra day. Iowa State there on the 14th. Then they'll play Baylor on October 21st at home. Back-to-back home games. Then on the road at Oklahoma State on the 28th. Then they'll be back home for UCF on the 4th. On the road at Houston on the 11th, on the road at West Virginia on the 18th, so back-to-back road games there, and they close things out with Kansas on November 25th. So that's the schedule there for Cincinnati. They play all three of the other newcomers in the Big 12, so they play BYU, they play UCF, they play Houston. You've got the one back-to-back road game stretch here with Houston and West Virginia. Not a bad back-to-back. It's not like you're playing, two really good teams back-to-back on the road. Houston and West Virginia should be, kind of average teams, I guess. They do not play Texas. They do not play TCU. They do not play Kansas State. So that's a pretty good draw. And then you throw in Texas Tech. They don't play them either. Possibly the four best teams. I mean, I don't know, Texas. Oklahoma probably will be in there. They do play Oklahoma. But again, Texas, TCU, Kansas State, Texas Tech, you avoid all four of those. This is a really, really, really good schedule for Cincinnati in year one of the Big 12. They do play Pitt in the non-conference, but that'll be their only tough game there. They'll probably be underdogs in that game, but that's one that they could possibly steal on the road. Not going to be big underdogs in that game. So they have a chance there in the non-conference to go 3-0. And again, you look through the conference schedule. Is there a game here where you're going to say, Cincinnati has no chance in that game? They're not going to win that game. I don't think you really can say that. Oklahoma's probably their toughest opponent, but they get them at home. That gives them a chance in that game. So again, a really, really nice schedule for Cincinnati. I mean, this thing sets up to give them success in 2023 in their first year in the Big 12. So we'll go through the projection now. This is the scale that we use. If it's a 50-50 game, it'll be in the white. Those are games that could go either way. If it's less than 20, over 80, those are games where I think the spread will be 20 or more points, pretty much guaranteed wins or losses. 20-29, 71-80, those are games where I think the spread will be double digits, 10-19 points. 30-39, 61-70, those are games where I think the spread will be about a touchdown, 6, 7, 8 points, kind of in that range. So let's get to it here for Cincinnati and some of these teams in the Big 12. This is kind of I wouldn't say it's a pointless video when we talk about the projection, but you'll see what I'm talking about. So I think you've got two wins, Eastern Kentucky, Miami of Ohio. Those are almost guaranteed wins. Those should be in the blue. Maybe they're only an 18-point favorite, but against Miami of Ohio, but I think they'll definitely be favored by around 20 or more in that game, and definitely over 20 against Eastern Kentucky. So those are two easy wins, I think. I feel pretty confident there at least. And then I think I'm going to put Iowa State in the purple here. I think Cincinnati will be about a touchdown favorite in that game. Iowa State was not very good last year. I think they're going to be improved this year. If it was on the road, I'd probably call that a 50-50 game, but because it's at home, I will say Cincinnati will be favored. Again, this is a tough one because first of all, we don't know really how good Cincinnati is going to be, and this conference, the Big 12, there's so much parity. There are no easy wins, or there are no guaranteed losses or anything like that. And so you look at the rest of the schedule, I think it's really just a bunch of 50-50 games, and we've had this for several teams in the Big 12, and it's also the way the schedule sets up. So if Oklahoma was on the road, that would definitely be in the yellow, and I think you can make an argument for that game in the yellow as it is. But again, we're kind of looking back to last year. This is an Oklahoma team that had a losing record. They were 6-7, so we're not just going to assume for sure that they're going to be a great team. When I do my predictions, which won't come out until after spring, I might say, I think Oklahoma's going to win this game by 3 touchdowns. But based off of last season and just the odds here, again, going very conservative with this, I think it should be considered a 50-50 game. You look at West Virginia, that's a game where if it was at home, maybe you put that one in the purple, but because it's on the road, I think it's a 50-50 game. Pittsburgh at home, and probably still a 50-50 game. So, but yeah, you look at the rest of the schedule here. I'm not just being lazy. It's just because we don't know enough. I think all these games are 50-50 games. All of these games could go either way. Again, I would favor Pitt. I would favor Oklahoma. I would probably favor BYU, but not by much. Baylor's really a toss-up. Oklahoma State's really a toss-up. UCF's really a toss-up. Houston is really a toss-up. West Virginia's really a toss-up. Kansas. So again, you go from Baylor to Kansas, and those are really 50-50 games. Those are really games that could go either way. Like I said, Pitt, Oklahoma, BYU, Cincinnati might be a slight underdog in those games. But a touchdown, I don't know. I don't know if they'll be that big of an underdog in those games. So we're going conservative and basically giving them 2 wins and splitting the rest of the games. That's how it comes out, and that gets you to 7-5. So a 7-5 record for Cincinnati. If you put Pitt, Oklahoma, and BYU, if you put them as underdogs in those games, you could probably get this projection closer to 6-6. But as it stands here, 7-5, that's the projection for Cincinnati to have a pretty good year in the Big 12. And a big reason why is because, again, their schedule sets up really, really well for them. So that's the projection. What are your thoughts on Cincinnati? What do you think their record's going to be, or what should it be projected to be? Again, I've got them with this formula in 2023 at 7-5.